Today we're going to introduce you to our friends at HCC. I'm Justin.
And I am Aaron.
And this is Husman Bros. Before we go too much further, please subscribe for more great content like this down below. Today we are checking out a new facility for our old friends from HCC.
Yeah, we actually did a video with HCC before, but they have changed a lot and they have moved their facility. This video will be much better because their space is much bigger and we have a lot more to show off.
And stay tuned because we're going to talk to one of the guys from HCC about what they're looking for when they're buying these cars for auction and what you should be looking for when you're buying a car at auction.
Yeah, you'll hear how the pros do it, but I'm sure you want to check out some of these amazing cars. Let's look at what we got.
So now that we're inside, there's a lot to see here at HCC. We've got this big room here, which has the lounge and some other space upstairs. And then there's the VIP room over here, which is where I think we're going to start. VIP, not champagne room.
Okay, that's fine. I wanted to check out these 993s though.
We'll come back to them. They'll be here.
All right.
So I know I always say every car is my favorite or I like this car just fine, but I think this car might be my favorite that he's got here.
It's a great spec. I love the white lobster claws on here.
Factory white lobster claws.
That'd be fantastic. I'm not typically a brown interior on a white car guy, but I think this one looks really nice because of all the white. It breaks it up. So,
and of course it's got the aero kit. Now for those of you that can't tell by sight, this is a 997.1 and great car, just perfect spec.
Got the big wing on the back. It's a 4S.
Sadly already sold along with this one.
Yeah, we've got this Mercedes, this 992 over here. Now this is what is crazy. I know some of you watching this video cannot relate, but there are people out there buying cars and they just don't have time to come pick them up. So these cars are actually sold. They've been here for quite some time, just waiting on the owners to come pick them up. But while you're waiting, why not put two great cars on display in the showroom?
Now, it's good that they're sold because HCC isn't just a dealership. They actually do consignment sales.
Yeah.
So when you're working with a consignment person like this, you want to come in and see that there are cars that are sold, right?
Over here on this side of the showroom, we got a 997 again. This one is an S. A nice spec on this Carrera, but this is the one I really love. This is what I had on my wall when I was a kid. Here we've got a 93 Ferrari 348 Speciale TS, what I like to refer to as the Testarossa, or maybe some call the baby Testarossa, but amazing car, looks fantastic. It is absolutely clean, 10,000 miles on this car, and I got to sit in it a little earlier, which really fulfilled a dream for me. I love this car, absolutely one of my favorites. Of course, this is the perfect color, resale red, and to top that, it has the gated shifter. Love a gated shifter, that real mechanical feel. I am into manual labor, if you can't tell. And if you're into this, you should get it. And if you just like this shirt and that's all you can afford, go check out the Husman Bros shop and get yourself some merch. Justin's sitting with another car that I absolutely love as well. You know, we have 996s and this is the tip of the top in 996s.
It is. These were, I won't say cheap, but they were a steal a couple of years ago. The market has absolutely changed on this, and this one would be the one for me. Again, red, has the painted console, 996 GT3. I think these are investment level cars, as they all are. This one is really fantastic. I don't even know how many miles are on it, but this is the one for me. Yeah, I said that was my favorite. Now this one's my favorite.
Well, and it doesn't have the taco wing on it, which is great.
Right.
That's a great looking wing on the back of this car.
Okay, so again, new favorite, 996 GT3, painted red console.
Subscribe so we can get it.
I mean, if they would take my piece of shit as a trade-in, I would do it in a heartbeat, but I don't think they will because it's not to their quality. But this one might also be my favorite.
That's pretty nice.
So this is Ipanema Blue, and if you're a Porsche person, it's all about the colors nowadays. We have someone in our club who has an Ipanema Blue coupe, and it wins every time because you don't see the color. Really nice spec on this one. GTS convertible. You know what? I'm a convertible guy.
I like the yellow seat belts.
This
is a great touch on this car.
This one might be my favorite. It is a PDK, which is great. I love driving my 6-speed every day. I also do some manual labor, but when you're cruising around with the top down, PDK is just as good.
Carbon fiber emergency brake there.
Yeah, carbon fiber a lot on this car. Really a nice spec. If you're interested in this one, check out the HCC website, which we will have linked down below. Now let's go into the big room.
Okay, so we've checked out the VIP room. Time to get over to Gen Pop and see what we got over on this side of the house.
You know, I wouldn't say Gen Pop. This is much more than general. Oh. So 993.
We got a few 993s over
Several
here.
of them.
I mean, what, 4 993s right here. Now, some of the cars over here, they are for sale. Actually, most of the cars here are for sale. Some of them are from the private collection. These are actually clients and friends of HCC. They're not just here to sell people cars. They're really trying to create a community. So this is one of the ways that they help out the people in the community. If you're a car guy, you know everybody's got a friend who needs a place to store a car for a little while. And so HCC is able to fulfill that for their clients and their friends. All right, so showing you some 993s. We got a tale of 2 993s here. Over here in this corner, we have this Mexico blue 993. It's a 1995 model. Over here, we've got this speed yellow 1998 model 993. Some people say all Porsches look the same, but these two are vastly different. Let's talk about why. So this is a Carrera 4, all-wheel drive. It is a beautiful Mexico blue, but that is not its original color. It was originally a midnight blue, but I think it looks great. It turns a lot of heads. This is actually the shop car. This car has 254,000 miles on it, and it's had plenty of modifications. You can see the roof wheels. I think the car looks great. It always turns a lot of heads, generates a lot of conversation, but this car is wholly unoriginal. A lot of things have changed about it, and it's a great driver car, but it's not something that's going to fetch a big price tag if it were to go up to auction. Unlike this one right here, 1998 993 Turbo is not just a turbo. It's got the WLS2 kit on it, which really makes this a Turbo S without the badging. So it doesn't have any of the side vents, but the spec on this is absolutely amazing. Every single box was checked. It's got the great turbo twist wheels, but it's got yellow stitching, yellow belts in it. The gauges are yellow. This is a Euro car, and they checked all of the boxes. It looks fantastic. This car is worth every bit of $700,000. Unfortunately, not for sale. Not that I have $700,000 to spare, but it is here. And now let's see what Justin has to show you.
So Aaron has what's called champagne taste with a beer pocketbook. I got beer taste and I found the beer car. So this is a fun barn find that HCC rounded up recently. They described it as a Facebook marketplace because their standards are really, really high around here. They're not gonna sell a car that's not perfect. And this car doesn't have to be perfect. I think it's super cool. This is an 85 Carrera air-cooled car. I think they're gonna ask somewhere in the range of $35,000 for this car. And it's not perfect. You see the cracks on the hood. The seats have been redone. When you pull the top up, it's a little warm, but it runs and it drives, and it would be a great driver level car. And for that kind of price, I'm way into it. I love the idea of a perfectly perfect 993, but this also ticks a lot of boxes for me. You don't have to spend $1 million to have fun in a Porsche. You can do it for less than you would a Ford Maverick. Now, this is a great car, and for $35,000, if you can find 100 friends to subscribe, I may buy it. But let's talk about this one. And one of the things that I've wanted for a long time is a birth year car. And I'm about to share some information that perhaps I shouldn't, but this is a 1973 911T. This is also a driver level car. Now this one is fuel injected. It's not perfect. This is probably $10,000 more than that drop top. But what you do with this car is you take it, you carburate it, and then you drive the hell out of it. 73s are long hood cars, and so this car is a little bit more unique than the standard air-cooled car. Really a great car. I love the yellow color. I've always wanted a yellow car, but have never really been able to swing that or really thought seriously about swinging this one. Now, it's not just all Porsches here at HCC. It doesn't say, hey, cool Porsche. It's, hey, cool car, HCC. And so we have some great cars here. Now, I'll admit that I'm not a Cobra person. I don't love them. I think this is a neat car. Grace and I should maybe have talk about these because I know he loves these cars, but he's behind the camera. This is Husman Bros, not Husman Bros plus Grayson. But fun car here. These are always great cars. Fun fact from my other side of my life as an insurance guy, there was a long time where if this was the car you came to the insurance companies with, they would limit how much they would cover it for because this is not the car every enthusiast buys, but it's a fun car that everybody wants who may not have the skills. Now this is something else altogether. Another car that's birth year car, but this is a great Corvette because it's got the 454 in it. This thing is a beast. These cars would be a nightmare to try to restore. If you're gonna buy a car like this, you find one that's already done or already perfect. I love this car. The Stingray is one of my favorite body shapes, and it would really be a toss-up for me given the dollars they are, this long hood or that long hood. I'm done telling you about all my favorite cars that I have here, so I'm gonna throw this over to Aaron and Chris, where you can get some of the insight from the experts who do this for a living, so you can find the right car rather than a big problem.
All right, so I'm here with my cousin Chris from HCC, and tell us how HCC finds their cars.
Yeah, you know, we're really lucky and blessed, just as you guys are, that we have a really fantastic car community here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And we're even more lucky in the sense that the owner of HCC, Patrick, has been buying and selling Porsches just as an individual for 20 plus years. And so when you invest in a car community, that car community often invests back in you. And so we're really lucky to have a great car community that comes to us when they need help buying or selling a car. And that's the bulk of the cars that we're selling these days, really are personal referrals, friends of friends. And it means that we get some really great cars and also get to build an awesome community on the way.
Yeah, and you do consignments, but you do a lot of going out and finding and sourcing and bringing in cars. Some of them are perfect, but some of them require some additional TLC to get them up to speed and really get them sold. This one here, this 964, this is when you said you were on the fence. Do we buy this one or not? Because it wasn't perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. So with every car, there's always a tipping point. How perfect do we make the car? You know, when you're in the business, obviously you have to evaluate things. Making every car 100% perfect does not always make the most sense, right? And so this is a great example. We love the air-cooled Porsches. We love the 964s. So this is a 964 Carrera 2 rear-wheel drive coupe, manual, 5-speed manual. And so it's a great car. Singer has made 964 coupes very expensive and very rare. So the concept of a driver quality 964 is really hard to come by these days. So we knew we wanted this car, but the question is, do you restore it? Do you make it perfect? Or do you sell it kind of as is to someone who's looking for a driver or who's looking potentially for the basis for a bit of a project?
So what had you on the fence about this one? If this is, the 964 is one of the premier models of 911, what had you on the fence about not buying this car?
So one of the first things is paint. So whether you like it or not, Porsche people care a lot about original paint. And so when you put a paint meter on this car, it has had some paint work on various panels. And the paint work is okay, but it's not what we would consider great quality. And so even with full detailing and a paint correction, this paint is never going to be the quality of, you know, an original paint car like that 964 Turbo over there. And then there are a couple other things that can get increasingly more expensive. So part of buying these cars is knowing what are the common things that go wrong and also how much do they cost to fix properly. So on 964s and 993s, the door check straps go bad, and that's basically a welded part of the door hinge that prevents the door from swinging all the way open, and those welds essentially break loose. The factory welds weren't that good and they break loose. And it's an expensive fix to do properly. You have to pull the entire fender off and you have to re-weld under the fender. So it's a fix that is several $1,000s, and it does nothing for the cosmetic appearance of the car, but it needs to be done to do it properly.
Yeah, so that's one thing on certainly the 964s, so we want to know about this. Now, this was a different story altogether. This was more of a no-brainer here. Here we've got another 964, but this one is the turbo. It's got the big whale tail. It's in black. This one was a no-brainer to you. Why is that?
100%. So since the 930 Turbo came out, the Porsche 911 Turbo has been really a blue chip in the Porsche world, and in particular the 964 turbos are fairly rare. Porsche almost went bankrupt during that 964 production run, so they didn't make a ton of them. They certainly didn't make a lot of turbos, and this particular example, we talked about original paint. This car meters this original paint, which is a huge plus for someone looking for a more collector grade example. It's also 50,000 miles. And this car, you mentioned consignment at some point. This car is on consignment for the owner of it. And we took this car on as a consignment sale because one, the owner wanted to get absolute max top dollar and was not time sensitive. So on this car in particular, it had been modified in the early 2000s with non-factory wheels, non-factory seats, and a couple other little minor things. Thankfully, all fully reversible, but reversing that takes some time, some effort, and so this has taken a little bit of time and a lot of elbow grease to get it the way it will be when it's sold, but certainly a car that is worth the effort.
You talked about the door hinges. What are some other things, if you're looking at a car like this, especially a blue chip car like this, that are going to make you run away from it?
Yeah, so obviously rust or corrosion. On the 964s and the 993s, you see a lot of rust or corrosion, just bubbles, really where the windshield or glass seals meet the body. So front windshields, the rear glass, kind of moisture can kind of build up in these corners and start bubbling. And that's, like any corrosion, that's an expensive fix. And body and paint work is really expensive these days. It's more expensive than ever, and it's hard to find someone who can do it right. So that's a big thing to look out for. And there are a lot of little things that add up on these cars. We talked about the check strap, which is a couple $1,000s. Any issues with the AC and the climate control system, the common issues there, generally a couple $1,000s as well. So they're not scary cars by any means, but you really need to do some research. Online forums are great. If you have someone in your local Porsche club or the car club of the car that you're looking for, talk to them, talk about what issues they face. Yeah. There's a wealth of information out there these days, and that really is going to help you make sure you know what you're getting into.
Yeah, absolutely. And bookmark this video to make sure you can come back and reference it anytime you're looking. Now there's another car that I want to talk about, incidentally another 964, and this one you have decided to do nothing with, and as Justin said, it's going to be a Facebook Marketplace special, just because it's one that you can turn around pretty quickly. Businesses are businesses, and businesses like to make money, and if you can turn a quick profit on something, then you always want to be able to do that. So what makes you decide that you're not going to, really we've been talking about when is the juice worth the squeeze? What makes the squeeze not worth the juice in this one?
Absolutely. So number one is you have to look at the prices of a perfect car, right? And not all perfect cars bring the same amount of money. So
and this is a great one. I mean, this is your classic 964 guards red convertible whale tail. Love everything about this car.
Yeah, so this is an 85, and so 85 is a good year for the G-body. It does mean that it doesn't have the more desirable G50 transmission, which came in 87 to 89. So that's kind of one relative knock. Convertibles, with very few exceptions, always bring less money than coupes. But really, with this car, it's just there are a bunch of little things that are going to add up. As you can see on here, we talked a little bit about paint. You know, you have some paint cracking here on the hood. You have some paint cracking on here on the fender. And so that's not going to bother everyone. If someone's looking for a driver to enjoy air-cooled Porsche that runs and drives well, that may not be a deal breaker. But paint work is very expensive. And so getting that right is going to cost a lot of money, and because of the top end prices on a perfect 85 cab, it means that there really isn't that margin there that makes it worth restoring. Now, as you mentioned, I think this is going to be a fabulous car for someone. I would love to just drive this car.
Absolutely.
You don't need to worry about
rock chips.
Yeah, rock chips. You don't need to worry about little nicks here and there. And that's something that, as air-cooled Porsches have gotten more expensive, the idea of a driver or a stress-free 911 to enjoy driving has become less common. So this is a great opportunity there.
Like you said, it's going to cost a lot to restore this car. If you're paying someone to do it, the top end of the value is not going to be able to provide any profit for you. So in short, really know what you're getting into, know what your capabilities are. This might be a great car for you. If you're handy, you could do your own body work, maybe some paint work, or if you just want a car that you can enjoy, you can clean this up, you can still turn plenty of heads. Maybe you keep the Pioneer stereo, maybe you don't, I don't know. So wanted to make sure to bring you some value, tell you what the pros think and what they look for when they're out looking for these cars, because you can really lose your shirt if you buy the wrong car. But good news, if you do, we have some for sale with these great designs. Check out the link below. Now we've talked about consignments, we've talked about the cars you have for sale, some of the restoration work that you do, but we also talked a little bit about storage, and you guys store some really nice cars. Do you have anything special in the back?
So we're lucky here in Dallas in that we have some clients who have some fabulous cars, and they don't always have enough garage space at their personal homes or their personal garages. And so at the back row, we have a few very special cars that we're lucky enough to be able to stare at every day while we go to work. So we can start over on this side and move over to the right as we go. To start, a 1989 Ferrari 328. Silver, black, phenomenal car.
Amazing. Have you had a chance to drive this?
I have not had a chance to drive this car, and this is a fuel, 328, so it's a fuel-injected car. We've had the opportunity to drive early carbureted 308s, and they're a riot.
Really?
So I imagine this is much of the same. This is a very low mileage example.
My dear cousin, we need to talk about contract negotiations so that you can make sure in your contract that you're driving everything just for safety.
Absolutely. This I can say that there are a few cars in this back row that I have had the opportunity to drive. This is one of them. This car.
This is something else.
It's spectacular. It looks like it will eat you alive, and it probably will on track. But as you would expect with Mercedes, it's surprisingly livable, docile, unlike this one.
That's a monster. We'll come back to this. I want to talk a little bit more about this one. So is this the GTS model? What model is this?
This is the AMG Black Series.
Black Series.
This
is the tippity top.
This is the tippity top, the most track-focused version of the AMG GT.
And how many horsepower is this?
A little over 600, somewhere in the low to mid 600s.
This thing must be just insane. And of course, big wing.
Yep,
right?
big
That's
wing.
What you want.
You
now we'll talk about the neon on steroids.
Yes, absolutely. So this is kind of the last of the line of the Dodge Viper. So Dodge Viper obviously no longer in production. And this is a special edition, the Viper GTSR, that it kind of harkens back to the days when Dodge competed at Le Mans with the Vipers in the late 90s. So this is a Viper ACR with the Ultimate Aero kit and a limited edition badge.
So just something real demure, you know, just
very
real simple,
very quiet,
classy,
perfect for commuting.
Right, like a grocery sort of thing.
Absolutely. This car I couldn't imagine on track, but I have driven it a little bit on street, and it's not the most enjoyable experience on street.
Part of the thing I love about Vipers is that they're so just raw. Our cousin Vivek, who you've met before on our channel, he has a Viper, and it is a neon inside and dragon everywhere else. And this is the Viper. Right? This is just incredible. And again, big wing. So I think there's more special stuff down this way. I'm not going to discount this car, but it's another black 911. So what is this one?
It's a 16 911 turbo. So the last year of the 991.1 turbos.
Okay.
You know, these cars are really great values as Porsches are concerned.
Like right now, you mean?
Yeah, right now.
So what would a car like this go for? Or
just a little bit over 100, basically 105, 110.
And you know, everything goes up, right, with Porsches, right? But so what do you see this car being in a couple of years?
I think this car will be stable for a while. And I don't necessarily expect it to appreciate a ton. But I think it's one of those cars where you can drive for a while and not worry about a ton of depreciation while also just really enjoying driving.
These are great cars as well. really a good car to buy right now. So has this been affected by the softening of the market?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
What did this car cost a year ago?
This was probably a 130s car a year ago, honestly.
And you think now we're at the bottom?
I think we're pretty close to the bottom, yeah. The 991.1 turbos, I think their biggest knock is that they're all PDK.
Right.
So there are no manuals.
You know what? I drive a PDK. It's better than I am. Now, this one's not for sale, but if somebody wants one, call HCC. I bet they can round one up for you. Now, let's go to the big boy.
Yep.
Electric cars. Who cares?
Yes,
right?
Exactly. Yes.
We all know
you can move this one in the showroom without making too much noise, which is always kind of eerie.
So have you driven this one?
I have not. No.
Okay.
I've not had a chance to drive this car. But obviously 918 Spider, hybrid, one of the big three hybrid supercars of the 20 teens, and this is a unbelievably rare example.
What makes it rare?
Basically the color, primarily. So color and specification. So it's a one-of-one color.
Really?
Yes, it's called burgundy. They only made one car in this color, and I think they have only ever made one car.
One 918.
So
is this a PTS color?
This is a PTS color.
Okay.
And I believe it's a PTS color that has not been used since.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. Awesome. So a car like this, we're talking value. Now, this one's not for sale. This one's not always not here. You said the owner's in and out. It's here occasionally, right? But so one like this, $1 million plus, more than $1 million?
Well over two, probably.
Well over two, okay.
Yeah, well over two.
As you see, I'm not browsing these cars because I know that I don't have enough subscribers yet, but we'll get there, right?
Absolutely.
So north of $2 million for this car. Has the market affected these cars at all?
I think
There's so few of them.
I think the less special and less unique examples. I think that's one thing we've seen lately is the cream of the crop, the unique specifications, the rare specifications are staying pretty steady, if not increasing in value. But the run-of-the-mill or the more common specs.
Your common 918.
Exactly.
Right?
They made a bunch of silver ones. And so if you're looking for a silver 918, you have a vast number of options. You have 918 options.
So are those? How much are those cars then?
Those are probably in the low to mid 1 million range.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
So if you're bargain hunting, 918s, silvers are where it's at. Now this is a really special card. I don't want to take anything away from it. This one just looks awesome. Tell me about this one.
Yep. So this is a 2016 GT3 RS. So the GT3 is already the racing track-oriented version of the regular 911, and the RS just takes it to that next step. So it has fender flares, it has louvers on the fenders, it has obviously a big wing. This car is true race car for the road.
Right.
Carbon ceramic brakes, carbon buckets inside, and it's a riot.
Yeah.
It is a riot to drive.
So subscribe to the channel because we're actually going to do a road test of one of these very soon. Cousin Bruce bought himself an orange one from the same year. So look out for that video upcoming. Cousin Chris, thank you so much for letting us come in and check out all the great things you have here. As we said repeatedly in this video, Dallas is a car town. We're going to go out and explore some more of these little dealerships that are tucked away here in Dallas. These incredible places to buy incredible cars. We are so blessed here in Dallas to have so many options and so many cars around. We want to share that with you guys, so stay tuned for that as well. Now, if you want to come here yourself, meet Cousin Chris, say hello to Cousin Patrick. They have an event here the first and third Thursdays of every month. Come in, have a drink, see what's out there. They've got everything from your daily driver level 911 to really something you want to put away in your collection. Thanks for watching. Buy a t-shirt, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.